Hello, everybody. It is I, the Great Clement, as always, with my co-host.
Hello, everyone. It's Caro. I'm so happy to be back here again for another C-Squared. Hooray!
And before we get going, I got to address something that a lot of the commenters keep getting wrong. She said Caro. C-A-R-O. That's it. There's no L at the end of that word. It's not Carol. I know a lot of people, every week, it seems like every time we post a C-Squared episode, there's always people going, oh, it's his co-host, Carol. It's Carol. It's Carol. No, it's Caro.
No, I am not some old lady like Carol Burnett. It is C-A-R-O, Caro. There is no Carol. I detest Carol.
Her Twitter handle is Caro Taro, because there's no L there.
It's not Carol Terrell. Like, what's a Terrell? Taro is the name of my favorite bubble tea flavor, and it rhymes with Caro, hence my username, Caro Taro.
Don't think of moral oral. It's Caro Taro. Caro Taro. Okay.
Well, my full first name is Carolina, so I get why you would say Carol. But I am not old, and I am not old-fashioned like that, and my friends call me Caro. So please use Caro.
I remember the first time I said your name out loud, you were very proud of the fact that I said it correctly, because I didn't say Carolina, I said Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Which is true, because, like, growing up, I would always have to deal with the shtick every day at the first day of school, where the teacher would be like, Carolina! Carolina redacted! Is Carolina redacted here? And I'd be like, it's Carolina.
I knew from your last name that was definitely pronounced a certain way. I could tell, you know.
I appreciate you for being culturally responsive.
I try to be. But even I have my blind spots. But anywho, folks, welcome to C-Squared. We're back. It's awesome. It's been a while, technically, because I think the last one... I mean, we did do Seinfeld and another video, like, a while ago, but we technically recorded that in May before Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
So it's been a long while, and there's been a lot of updates since then. Oh, my God.
Oh, 100%.
I've uploaded 2 videos since FF7 Remake.
Yeah.
One of which is the Tekken video, and that became a crazy success that I was not anticipating at all. Good Lord.
And you deserve it. It's what you've been deserving for years.
It's crazy. I mean, one reason I did that video was because it was truly a thing where I was like, you know, no one's really just done like a comprehensive look at the lore of Tekken. Like, some people make their individual lore videos for like certain characters, like, oh, it's Jin's lore for Tekken, and it's Asuka's lore for Tekken, and they'll do like a 5 or 6 minute video where they're barely speaking into the mic and they're not making any jokes. And I just wanted to make a whole thing about the comprehensive lore about everything. And as it turns out, because no one's made that kind of video, mine's popular.
The fighting game community, you know, knows good content when they see it.
It just goes to show that fighting game fans love story. They actually like when their characters have lore and there's actually a backstory to everything, and they want to know about this kind of stuff. And now people want me to do like the insane lore of Street Fighter, the insane lore of Darkstalkers, the insane lore of King of Fighters, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, Killer Instinct, you name it. They want me to do
the insane lore of Dead or Alive.
and that has insane lore. It really does. That has very insane lore. But you know, I didn't make this channel like 12 years ago to focus on fighting game lore retrospectives. I wanted to do videos on all kinds of things. So unfortunately, people are gonna have to wait a little bit for me to get to those videos. But I have mentioned on Twitter that yes, eventually I am going to make, like, more lore videos on Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, Dead or Alive, Because Dead or Alive's pretty stupid. That will be a fun one for sure. Because, I'm one of those nerds. I'm one of those weirdos who actually pays attention to this stuff. I actually read the paragraphs of backstory that each character has in their instruction manuals or their attract mode or whatever, and I'm just like, so that's what that character's all about. I just thought they were quirky. Turns out they're insane. Okay.
If I remember correctly, one of the reasons why you actually decided to make a lore video on Tekken in the first place was based on conversations that we would have about Tekken lore.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I remember you were showing me some videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually really wild. Because I'm like, I can't believe there's a bear and pandas and a robot girl that are all in Tekken, and I'm like, this is actually a fighting game. I can't believe all this story is in a fighting game. And I remember that you were having fun just talking about that.
It just got to the point where it felt like I was telling you one crazy thing, but then I realized there's so much more to that of why it's even crazier than what I just said. So I would go deeper and I would go deeper and I would go deeper and I would just keep explaining crazy thing after crazy thing to you. And then I realized this is pretty fun. This is a fun subject. This is a fun topic to talk about.
Yeah.
This should be a video. This should be we should talk about the lore of Tekken and just go into how it's so goddamn crazy and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still a lot of stuff I left out of that video just for the sake of condensing it under 2 hours. I cut out stuff. I had a whole segment on Bob. I had a segment on Dragunov. But I cut that out because it wasn't really interesting. All I had to say about Dragunov was he's a Russian military soldier who's trying to capture Jin so he can get the Devil Gene. He was obsessed with getting the Devil Gene. In Tekken 6, he tries to capture Azazel to get the Devil Gene, blah, 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 blah. And it's that doesn't really fit in with the wacky, insane lore part of my title, and Dragunov, he's kind of a basic character at the end of the day. I'll cut him out. But I recorded a thing for him. I had footage edited to it, but as it was flowing and as I was watching the video back, I was just like, Dragunov doesn't fit here. Cut him out. There were a lot of new characters in Tekken 7, and I felt like I could have done an entire video just on them, because there's Gigas, who's this big roided out muscle man who's a super soldier for G Corporation, and he might be Katarina's father, another fighter in the game, because in their own story modes he seems to recognize her and she seems to recognize him, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on there. Plus, I didn't even mention I did a Final Fantasy 15 video, and I forgot to mention that Noctis was in Tekken 7.
Oh yeah.
I mentioned all these Final Fantasy 15 spin-offs, like the fishing game and the 2D beat-em-up and all these other things, but I didn't mention that Noctis was in Tekken. And then I'm doing the Tekken video, and I forgot to mention that Noctis was in Tekken 7.
Which would have made a nice connection. You forgot you forgot that he was in Tekken 7 along with the Walking Deads.
With Negan. Yeah. You know what I love about that? You boot up the game and there's all these credits on the title screen. It's sort of like Smash Brothers, but not as big, where it says Bandai Namco Limited and Capcom because Akuma's in there, and Square Enix because Noctis is in there. And then at the very end it goes AMC. AMC, the television corporation that gives you The Walking Dead, because Negan from The Walking Dead is in Tekken. It's what a weird combination. But then I guess it's even stranger now with Smash Brothers, because what's at the end of the Smash Brothers logos? Disney.
Yeah.
It's Monolith Soft, Bandai Namco, Sega, Capcom, Square Enix, Disney.
Disney. It totally fits, right?
Oh my god, Disney's in this game. Jesus Christ, Kingdom Hearts.
Family entertainment in my Super Smash Brothers, because Super Smash Brothers is a game for good boys and girls. As Mr. Sakurai said.
Unlike that Tekken. Tekken's all kinds of filthy. Because, I also didn't mention that, from 5 onwards, you could customize the characters. And if you want to put all the girls into bikinis, you can.
Can I make their boobs big?
You can't make their boobs bigger, no. You can't change their actual body type, no. But you can make a lot of the characters shaven. You can give them a buzz cut. And They could wear bikinis, and they could have long hair, and yeah.
Can I put the men in bikinis?
No, unfortunately. I think we'd be seeing a lot more images and gifs of like the dudes fighting in bikini. I would love to go.
I can't put Heihachi in a bikini. Fuck Tekken then.
I would love to be watching Evo, like the fighting competition, like the best fighters in the world, and like one of the best fighters is playing like a Kazuya in a bikini. That would be amazing. I would kill for that.
The fighting game community would do that if given the option, though. Just knowing them.
You just make it the most, like, horny video game ever made. But yeah, the success of this video was kind of shocking. I got, like, 10,000 subscribers in, like, a week.
Which means that, potentially, we might have new viewers.
Yes, yes.
Which in that case, hello, welcome! I hope you stick around.
This is our podcast, C-Squared. We upload it every now and then, whenever we feel like it, but there's no schedule or anything. There's no, like, every month. No. We haven't had up C-Squared since after 7 Remakes video. So, yeah, we come up with new episodes every now and then. I've actually been doing this thing in order to make it not so cluttered. There's a playlist for C-Squared on the front page. If you click on my YouTube page, you'll find the C-Squared list. It even includes episode 0, which is something we did before I actually established this podcast. It was when my YouTube was under construction and I was making things 1080p, so that's back. All but the last 2 C-Squared episodes are unlisted, and they're going to be on that playlist so you can find them there. And of course, they're always going to be available and public on our audio. Like, you can listen to us on Spotify, you can listen to us on Google Podcasts. There's a link to those audio versions in the description. So if you don't want to watch a YouTube video, if you want to listen to us on Spotify, that link is right there. But if you're on YouTube, I just wanted it so, like, if you go clicking on the main page, you're going to see 2 C-Squared episodes, and that's about it. And everything else will just be my content, just so you don't get bombarded with, like, all these yellow background videos of discussions that maybe you don't want to watch. Because I know people want to see my videos as the main attraction, and I'm very proud of C-Squared, and I'm not stopping C-Squared. We're going to keep doing C-Squared until I die.
Good, because if not, I'm going to make C-Squared a one-woman show.
I would listen to that. That'd be fantastic.
Aw. I appreciate it.
I would love to hear you talk to yourself.
Yeah, I'll just talk to myself. Hey, Kiro, what did you think of Mortal Kombat? Oh, I thought it was great. I liked the part where they said Mortal Kombat and then stabbed each other and then the credits rolled. Oh, wow, me too! Like that.
Bravo. But, yeah, the playlist is on the front page. You can always find the audio section in the description of these videos, so you can listen to it on Spotify and blah, 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 blah. And, yeah. Enjoy, I guess, for the new viewers. I hope you enjoy this podcast. I can't guarantee it'll be the most entertaining thing in the world for you, but we're going to do our best because we got a lot of topics to talk about today.
Yes. And I think I echo everyone when I say that, like, we're all very proud of you, Clement.
Oh,
and you
shucks.
Deserve this. Yeah, you do deserve this.
It was very shocking. It's the first video I've ever had that got over 1 million that quickly. I don't even think Sonic 06 got over 1 million.
No, it's not over 1 million. It's close, though.
Yeah.
Not like I keep track of it every day.
And again, it took like 9 or so years for Sonic 06 to actually get to that point. Whereas Tekken, like 1 week, 2 weeks, already got 1 million views. So it's like, what?
I think, like, because I love that 06 review. It's how I found your channel. But I think, like, not only because it's a Sonic video, but I guess one of the reasons I'm happy that Tekken did well is that it's such a positive video that you obviously put a lot of, like, enthusiasm into compared to something like 06, which is more of the polarizing end, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing with 06 is, like, you know, if I had to redo that review today, I would. There would be so much about it I would be changing, because the problem with the 06 review 1, it's broken off into parts. I would make it one video. 2, it's in like 360, 480p. It's not high definition at all. It's a widescreen game being put into 4:3, so it doesn't look that great. My microphone wasn't that great. I probably sweared like a sailor. And, you know, there are opinions about it that I probably would change today, that I over-exaggerated for comedic effect. A lot of angry stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think Sonic 06 is the worst Sonic game that's ever been made. That has not changed.
Damn straight.
But I would be a lot lighter about it, you know? I wouldn't be so over the top about my anger with it, you know? I feel like, I'm not saying that I'm the butt of the joke, but I often see that, like, on Twitter or something, people make fun of, like, negative Sonic 06 reviews, and they always, like, make this example of, like, pulls out the disc, my worst enemy, and then cut to Sonic 06 disc or something, like some kind of joke template like that. And I did do that in my review, so I do wonder if they're referring to me and making jokes about me, which is like, ugh, oh no, I'm cringe.
But you know, like, also think about that, like, you were younger back then. And
of course.
I suppose that, like, your maturity and how you make videos now would definitely result in a different, I guess, video essay about 06 than what you made when you were like 23, 24.
The 06 video came out in 2012, 10 years ago. So I was 24, and I'm 34 now. And because, you know, there was a point during that time period where I was just getting out of breaking the habit of saying certain words. I remember distinctly when it happened, and I remember distinctly the point when I stopped saying this word. But, like, in Let's Plays, I always described, like, bad bosses, easy bosses, bosses with no, like, real critical thought towards them as being, like, retarded. Like, oh, these bosses are retarded, you know? I said that because I didn't know any better. I just thought it was a word to describe dumb things, like dumb. That's all I was trying to say. It's like it was a dumb boss. And when I saw, like, a few comments talk about, like, oh, he throws the R word around way too willy-nilly, I was just like, ugh. So, and that was during Sonic Advance 2. And so, after Sonic Advance 2, Sonic Heroes onwards, I cut that word out of my vocabulary, and I haven't used it since. And that was, like, 2011 or so. And I just distinctly remembering that, because I was genuinely, like, I genuinely felt bad. Like, I remember just reading comments from people talking about my content in that way on a forum somewhere, and I was just like, I didn't mean to hurt people. You know, like,
yeah.
So I genuinely cut that word out, and I never used it again. And yeah, that's just a little behind the scenes knowledge for everyone listening to this. Yeah,
for sure.
Cringe, awkward humor back in the day. I wouldn't recommend anyone watching my before 2011 Let's Plays.
Mm-hmm.
We all grow, we all change. That's just the nature of the beast, you know.
I guess the fruits of your labor and how much you've matured and really looked at yourself and how you produce your content in the last, I would say, like, maybe 5 or 6 years is really, like, you know, resulted in content that, like, you especially feel proud of. And I'm happy that you can look back on your more recent work and feel proud about your Tekken video and your Final Fantasy retrospective. And I know you have a lot of good ideas in the future.
Oh, yeah. I've told Kara my list many, many times. I have so many different video ideas of things I want to cover in the future. I'm not running out of ideas anytime soon. I got a whole... And again, you know what? It feels so liberating right now. I'm not shackled to anything. I'm not shackled to, I got to do the next Final Fantasy game, or I got to do the next Sonic game, or I got to do this, I got to do that. The table's open. I can do whatever I want. I can do whenever I want. You know, there's nothing being like, oh, Clement, you got to do Saints Row 2. No, I never agreed to do Saints Row 2. I don't have to do Saints Row 2. I'm going to do a different video.
Yeah.
In fact, and since you're listening to this podcast, I guess I'll tell you, I'm working on Pac-Man World Re-Pac right now. I'm doing a video about that. So that'll be fun. Stay tuned, everybody.
Waka waka.
And the video after that's going to be freaking embarrassing.
They'll find out.
Not for me, personally. Just kind of. but
Kind of. Well, I mentioned wrestling trips and I mentioned going to Forbidden Door. So Forbidden Door was in Chicago and it's my favorite show of the year that I've attended and watched. I love it so much. And since I used to live in Chicago and I have friends who still live there, I got to hang out with them. Shout out to Jack, Joey, and Steph. I don't know if you're listening, but I love you, I miss you. And I got to hang out with them like the day before the show, and we got to play different arcade games. We went to Galloping Ghost, which if you live in the Chicago area, you should check it out. It's a really cool arcade place, and you can play tons of arcade games, free play, $20 for the whole day. It's awesome. And one of the games that we ended up playing back at my friend's place was TMNT Shredder's Revenge. And we got to play 6-player TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which was amazing.
Like locally?
Yeah, locally.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was great.
I haven't been in a 6-man game besides like online, I think, but yeah, that sounds insane.
It was such a fun time, and it was very chaotic, as expected. Lots of deaths and lots of fun were had.
Oh yeah. You know, actually, as we're doing this podcast, Konami just released the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection as well. So that has like all the NES games, all the Super Nintendo games, all the Sega Genesis games, the Game Boy games, and like online play for like the fighting game, like Tournament Fighter.
Yeah.
And everyone, like, Turtles are back in a major way. Like, anyone who wants to enjoy Turtles on Time, not just the arcade version, but the Super Nintendo version, the far superior Super Nintendo version, you can on any console that you want because Konami has released this collection, and it's fantastic. And Shredder's Revenge is basically a beautiful love letter to all of the games that are in that collection. Shredder's Revenge is like an amalgamation of Turtles in Time and Tournament Fighters and the NES games and the arcade game, and it just seems to hybrid all of those games into one beautiful package, and it feels like Scott Pilgrim meets the Turtles, you know?
Yeah, very much.
I just knew I was in love from the character select screen. Like, the character select screen sounds exactly like it was ripped from the Super Nintendo Turtles in Time game. And I just love those instruments, and I love that sound so much.
Absolutely.
That I was like, oh my god, we're here. Turtles is back. Let's go. T-Lopes, of course, did the soundtrack. T-Lopes of Sonic Mania fame.
Oh, T-Lopes, my man. You knocked it out the park with the soundtrack.
It's amazing. It's incredible. Good God. I have like so much of that soundtrack on my computer, and I still listen to it to this day. Roof Running Reptiles in particular is one of my favorite tracks in the game. That was like stage 7 or 8 or something like that. But good God. Amazing soundtrack. Incredible soundtrack. And I think what makes Turtles a far more engaging game for a lot of people compared to a Scott Pilgrim is that this doesn't have that whole River City Ransom RPG aspect to it. This feels more in line with Streets of Rage 4 than it does Scott Pilgrim. It's you and your buddies saving each other when they get knocked down and sharing pizzas and, you know, just beating the crap out of every foot soldier that comes your way, you know.
Oh, yeah. It was so fun just doing, like, what's it called? The, hoverboard levels.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, dying, and everyone just, like, everyone in our room was like, give us the pizza! Scream! We're all screaming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta be revived! Help me!
It's like every single villain that was ever in the show is like a boss in this game. And, like, there's so many obscure ones that I didn't even remember. Like that arcade wizard lady. I'm like, oh, right, that was a thing. I've never seen her in any of the Konami beat-em-up games, so that's fun.
Yeah.
There's so many, like, references where, like, in the background of the Rat King's fight, you can see his ship that was in Turtles in Time and was also its own, like, toy figure, you know?
Yeah, I remember.
The foot soldiers, they're in these little walker machines, these little, like, metal walkers. That was actually a toy. That was actually a toy kids had, and they are walking around in those machines in the game itself. So that's fun.
Did you have that toy?
I didn't have many Turtles action figures, actually, no. Because the weird thing was, I never really watched the TV show. I loved the 1990 movie. I loved the first movie so much. The original live action is so good.
Who doesn't?
But I didn't watch the show all that much, so I never asked my parents if I could get Turtles action figures. Although I did have one. They were wearing a trench coat and their heads like switched. Like you could have one where like their head is like with the bandana over their eyes and stuff, and another where they were just like completely naked and just nothing. It was weird.
I didn't own any Turtles toys growing up, but I watched a lot of, and I mentioned this before, but I watched a lot of the 2003 4 Kids TMNT.
Oh, wow.
That's how I knew about it. Yeah. Showing my age a bit. But
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles with the rockin' theme song. I love the theme song for that show.
I like that it's not just the Turtles that are playable. You got Splinter, you got April O'Neil, you got Casey Jones, and April O'Neil is so fucking fun to play in this game. Good God.
Oh, April's fantastic. She is very fantastic.
I love when you finish a stage and she just does like the mic drop.
Yes.
It's like I've seen some ridiculous YouTube videos where people can like air juggle a foot soldier infinitely with April. They can just like pounce them up against the wall and just kick them up and 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 just do it over and over again. And people did that because there's a trophy for getting like a 200 hit combo without taking damage. So
gosh.
If you want to do it, look up guides for April O'Neil, because she can absolutely achieve that.
I played on Switch, and Switch don't got trophies.
I forgot. You're one of those Nintendo kids.
Well, I was until I got my PS5, so maybe I could do it on PS5.
Yeah, isn't that weird? I'm the guy making YouTube videos about video games. I'm the content creator here.
Yeah.
And you got a PS5 before I did. What the hell?
Well, you'll find a PS5 soon.
I hope so. I needs it.
You do need it. It's incredible. So incredible. I was so shocked with how quickly everything loaded. Like, I would click on Pac-Man World Re-Pac, for example. I'm already in the game.
Yeah.
Like, Sabrina got the Switch version, and it would load much slower compared to, like, the PS5 one.
Yeah.
It would just be like, loading, loading, done. And I'm like, damn, that's so quick.
That SSD, that's why I can't wait to play Tekken on PS5, like Tekken 8. Because, like,
yeah.
I love Tekken 7. It's a fun game, don't get me wrong. But, man, the loading screens are just glacial sometimes. And it's like, I'm not even talking online. I'm talking if you're in arcade mode and you're just going through that. If you're just going through the Ghost Treasure mode. Why do these matches take so long to load? Why can't it be like the PS2, PS1 days? And now that we have SSDs in our PlayStation 5s, I get the feeling Tekken 8 is going to load so much quicker. And I can't wait for that. That's going to be great.
100%.
But yeah, Shredder's Revenge is a good time. The only criticism I would have for it is I think it's just a smidge too long. Just like maybe 2 levels too long for like a casual run. Because I find that like, if I want to sit down with Shredder's Revenge, I got to dedicate like 2 hours to it, you know?
Okay.
And a lot of beat-em-ups are great where you could just kind of knock them out in like 40 minutes to an hour. And Shredder's Revenge just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And I know 2 hours is not like the worst thing in the world, but it is longer than some movies, you know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like it could be a smidge lower. Or at the very least, if they wanted to have extra levels, maybe they should make like alternate pathways. Like they should have like these decision branching points where it's like, hey, do you want to go to the sewers or do you want to go in the alleyway? And then you got like 2 different levels out of that. Because that would be more interesting if they wanted to keep making like lots of levels. Do it like Star Fox. Do it because Star Fox handled that perfectly.
Oh yeah, they did.
6 levels done, but Star Fox has more than 6 levels. You know, it's just what path you go and how you play the game and how you do it. That'd be fun. But I just feel like Streets of Rage 4 and now Shredder's Revenge just a smidge too long. Even though in comparison to every other game in the world, I mean, yeah, 2 hours is nothing. But it's weird when you're playing a beat 'em up. It's the repetition of it all and the exhaustiveness of it all, it just, you need a smaller condensed thing, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
But otherwise, great game. I have no real major complaints. Another game that came out that I am so thankful it did, because it's gotten a resurgence of popularity that maybe it's never had, but I'm glad it has it now. Bandai Namco's Klonoa franchise.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I slept on this franchise. Well,
I do.
well, I do too. Like, it was one of those things where, like, I kind of just played the games that, like, my older brother would get from my mom and dad. So obviously, I played Sonic, I played Pokemon, but there's some franchises that I missed, like Kingdom Hearts, and Klonoa was one of them too.
Yeah. Yeah, Klonoa is an odd one where, like, it was this Namco franchise that, like, it had an entry on PlayStation 1, it had an entry on PlayStation 2, it had a few GBA games, so, it's not like there was a one-trick pony or anything. It's just, it was a franchise with a bizarre-looking character, and you didn't know if this game was badass or super fun, and so a lot of people might not have given it the attention it deserved back then, but anyone who's played Klonoa knows that it's just a great platformer. It's so simple to play. The music is incredibly catchy. Klonoa himself is a very cute character. Wahoo!
Woohoo! Dabba-dee-doo!
They speak their little Simlish language.
I call it Klonoanese.
Klonoanese. But now that we're living in this age of social media, way past the Wii, now that we're in 2022, everyone who's ever played Klonoa is here to tell you that, like, oh, this series kicks ass. I've always loved playing Klonoa. And, yeah, now everyone can enjoy it freely. It's a digital download, so you don't need to hunt for a physical copy. It's on Switch, it's on the PlayStation, it's on everything. And it's a remake of the first two games, and those two games are great. And this is a good remake. Nothing is, like, compromised. It doesn't feel, like, super glitchy. It doesn't feel like the jumping physics are wrong or anything. No, it feels exactly like Klonoa should, and it's a great remaster of those two games. Good lord.
It's so great. Like, I love the dreamy, like, I guess, themes of Klonoa. And kind of just, like, how it establishes its world and its levels. Klonoa is one of my favorite platformers I've played in a while, and I feel like if my parents bought Klonoa for me, I would have eaten this up as a kid.
I just love a game that feels like something that would have come out on the PS1, PS2. Yep. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't feel like a modern platformer at all. It does feel like something that you would have played when you were a child, but not in the bad way. Not in the, like, oh, it's dated way. I mean, it's a simplicity for simplicity's sake kind of game where, like, nowadays I feel like when games are made, they have to have all these different elements, all these different mechanics, all these different extra features in order to justify why you're paying a high price for a game that maybe doesn't have the most amazing graphics ever, Like, whenever I talk to my family about, like, Mario, they don't play the 3D Marios. They only played the old Super Nintendo ones, and when Mario Wii came out, they played that. They played New Super Mario Bros. Wii because that was a Mario they recognized. That was a Mario that they could play. They like it when it's 2D. They like when all you have to do is run and jump. Run and jump. That's all you got to do. No bouncing off of walls, no side flips, no lawn jumps, no using the sprinkler system of the flood, no twirling in the air and hitting star rings in Mario Galaxy, no taking over different things in Mario Odyssey. No. They just want simplicity. They want the simple run and jump on the Goomba, jump on the Koopa, grab the flagpole. Yay, it's Mario. And to me, Klonoa skirts that line where it's like, it actually has a pretty complex storyline, and I think everyone always reacts very strongly to the ending.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a simple game to play. You pick people up, and you bounce off of them. That's really all you need to do. You can shoot your glove thing to the foreground. You can shoot it to the background. You can throw things to the foreground and background. You can double jump or get to higher places with other enemies, It's nothing too crazy, but it's just so fast and it's so responsive and it's just such a fun game to play despite all that, you know?
Yeah, like it's really fun to just like collect everything. And sure, it's not intense. It's not an intense platformer compared to others that I've played, but like it's very cozy. It's a very cozy platformer, and it gets challenging near the end, but like it's very comfy, and it's just the music is very joyful. Especially like in the first level, you have that one joyful like song playing. Yeah, like that.
It's great stuff. It's great stuff. But yeah, I remember I played Klonoa 1 late. You know, I didn't play it on the PlayStation. I played it on the PlayStation 3. I played it years after the fact that it came out. And yeah, I just remember thinking like, oh, if I actually had this game as a kid, I know I would love it. I know it would be one of my favorite PlayStation games ever of all time. I know I would have like speed run it and replayed it like dozens upon dozens of times if I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because I had more free time then. It's so gratifying. I never played Klonoa 2 before this collection. I never actually got the copy, and if you're looking for a physical copy of Klonoa 2, they are expensive.
Yep.
Retro game collecting is such a expensive hobby now. Holy shit.
Yep.
Anytime you want something from the GameCube PS2 era, it's like, oh, I hope you're willing to mortgage your house now.
Oh gosh.
God, Klonoa 2 was also really, really fun. Just as fun as part 1. And I love those characters, like Momo and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cozy and it's so warm and bubbly. And it's a franchise that I would love Namco to return to and just keep making sequels for till the end of time. And now that this game has actually done relatively well in comparison to the other games in the series, and it's much more accessible than the other Klonoa games because you can download it wherever. I really hope that this gives Klonoa the resurgence it deserves, honestly.
I'm telling you, Klonoa Sweep. If you haven't bought Klonoa, it is on sale on the eShop as of this recording. I don't know how long it's going to be on sale for, but it is $29.99 right now. So,
Ooh.
would totally recommend getting it.
It's an underrated gem.
Mm-hmm.
It may look cutesy and dumb to you, but you know what also looks cutesy and dumb? Kirby. And everyone loves Kirby. Everyone gushes about the Kirby franchise. Well, this is pretty much the same thing, only it's not Nintendo, you know.
You know what my favorite part of Klonoa is?
What's that?
My favorite part is where he goes,
I love just going through Klonoa 2 and constantly mashing L1 so you can go da-da-da-do, da-da-da-do.
Yes.
I must be the most annoying person to play with if anyone's ever in the room with me, because it's like I'm just walking through the levels and da-da-da-do, da-da-da-do, da-da-da-do. I can't help it. They gave him a taunt button. I gotta use the taunt button.
Of course.
But Namco didn't just revive Klonoa, it also brought back the Pac! Pac is back!
Jinx.
Pac-Man World, one of my favorite PlayStation games ever of all time. Because this is what I'm talking about when I said that like I would have replayed Klonoa all the time if I had played it. Pac-Man World, I did. I did own that game, and I did replay it a whole bunch, and I love that game. And now it's back on the Switch, on the PlayStation, Xbox, etc. And it's a remake of the very first Pac-Man World for PlayStation. They've changed up quite a few details about it, especially the boss fights, which people argued were too hard in the original, too challenging in the original, which I don't necessarily disagree with, because yeah, there's a lot of hard bullshit in the original game, and this is so much easier to play.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of nice nice changes in Re-Pac that I really enjoyed, because Pac-Man World is also a game that I liked playing a lot, but one of my things with that game was these bosses are ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous, and the difficulty of these bosses have been diminished so much in the remake where I'm like, oh, this is, people can actually beat it.
People can actually enjoy this now. Yay.
Yes. They somehow made all these boss fights fun.
But it's also just like a lot of the mechanical differences that I've noticed where like swimming, if you go back and play the original game, is much slower. You're always swimming very slowly through the area, very slowly dodging the sharks and whatnot. But now you can like stroke and like mash through the water, and Pac-Man just skips ahead a lot quicker than he used to. There's not as much blowback whenever you rev roll into guys or chests or anything.
Yeah.
Because that was something that killed me a lot in the original, and why I didn't often resort to rev rolling is because if I tried to rev roll into a bumper car, there's a good chance I would just fly off the stage, or I would just go somewhere I didn't want to go and run into walls and stuff. But now, whenever you rev roll into a chest, into an enemy, your character uncurls very, very quickly. So I found I would just rev roll chests, rev roll enemies a lot more in this version than I would in the original, which I'm very appreciative of.
The one down with the rev roll is that they changed the sound effect. I kind of like the sound effect from the original game. It was just like,
Yeah.
but now it's like not cartoony anymore. And I'm like, sadness.
Speaking of sadness, you know what's weird? Every time Pac-Man jumps, he's got this big happy face. Yeah! And then when he's like starts falling again, he gets like this scared, like, oh, face.
Whereas in the original, he's just happy all the way through.
Yeah.
He's bouncing.
What are you afraid of, Pac-Man? Were you shocked that when you jump that you're going to eventually fall?
He's just scared about his wife. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been redacted by Midway. His mother.
Uh-oh.
And everyone he loves have been kidnapped by the ghosts. That's why he's scared.
Yeah, the big controversy with Pac-Man World is that, you know, a lot of the old characters have been redacted, let's say. And no Miss Pac-Man in Pac-Man World. She's been replaced with Pac-Mom. And now there's Pac-Sis. And Talkman has a radical new redesign. He's actually got wings this time around, so you can fly all over the place. And he's... I don't know. Do you think he's scarier in the new version or in the old version?
The old version.
Yeah.
I credit a part of that to just the wonkiness of the 90s. Like, don't get me wrong, he looks like a badass here, but, like, compare him to, like, the original version, I'm just like, ugh. There's kind of an uncanny valley going on now with that original Talkman.
I always think of the voice acting, which Pac-Man World Re-Pac changed. Like Klonoa, they have their own, like, made-up language, this little Pac-Wanese or whatever.
So, Pac-Knees.
Pac-Knees. And so they're just going... And back in the original, they spoke English. They actually said the dialogue in the cutscenes. So, you know, I've beaten that game so many times. I've replayed the opening so many times that all of Talkman's dialogue is just burned into my brain. So I just always hear, I thought you had captured Pac-Man, you know?
Yeah, and I'm just like, give me my cheesy voice acting, please.
All they had to do was keep the exact same sound effects and audio from that opening cutscene and just apply it to the new models and whatnot, you know?
Pretty much.
I mean, yeah, maybe you could have to redo Miss Pac-Man's voice for that one line she has. Maybe. Or you could keep it. Who cares? Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Mom have the exact same dialogue and the exact same voice. Who cares? You know?
Yeah.
But, yeah. The opening in the original was an FMV cutscene. It was a lot more stylish, a lot cooler. And now it's in-game with Re-Pac. And, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think complaining about the story in Pac-Man World is like being the most nitpickiest of nerds. You know?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to care too much. It was one cutscene. It was one establishing shot. Pac-Man World is not about the story. I don't care. But, you know. Do I prefer the original? Yes. Do I care? No. But the levels are pretty much exactly as you remember them. They didn't radically redesign too much of the game. It's exactly as it was. This is not a reimagining of Pac-Man World. It's a remake. It's just the same game, but with better momentum, better physics, better platforming. I find you don't die as often as you used to. I find that the platforming is a lot easier to manage with, say, the circus levels than it was back in the original days where the platforms were a lot smaller and it was much easier to burn yourself on a lot of the hot, steamy platforms and the steamy pipes. There's a lot of quality of life improvements that make the levels a lot easier to manage, but not to the point of like it's holding your hand and it's like super baby mode.
Yeah.
They have a baby mode. Like if you die like 3 or 4 times, they ask you, do you want to play in easy mode?
No. I can do this all by myself.
I'm an adult, goddammit. But, so they do have a baby mode if you want it. But, no, it's still challenging. They still have lives, not infinite lives. So, you know, some people might be bothered by that. But I had like 99 throughout the whole game by the end, so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that challenging of a game that you need all these lives. It's a big non-issue for me.
I had like around 75 by the time I got to the final boss. And I didn't die to the final boss, so just kind of like whatever.
The only boss I think I like better in the original is Talkman himself.
Yeah, I can see that.
But otherwise, it's Pac-Man World. You know?
It is a very good game.
Back in the day when I used to do Let's Plays, I did a Let's Play of Pac-Man World. So there's a whole bunch of footage of me playing the original on this channel back in 2014. If you want to watch it, go look it up. It's fantastic. You can compare and contrast the old game with the new one that you're all probably playing right now. And like I said, I'm going to be making a video on Pac-Man World, so I'll have a more in-depth video with camera cuts and specific footage and more articulate script in the nearby future, you know.
100%. I'm looking forward to your Pac-Man video.
Thank you. You're my biggest fan.
Aw. Really?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I might have a diehard stalker who like wants to collect my hair. I don't know. Please don't snatch my hair. I need my hair.
Oh, fine. I won't snatch your hair then.
But I guess the last game I'll talk about, the last game I've been playing lately, that everyone I guess has been playing since it's free to play, would be Multiversus.
Multiversus!
This is a Smash Brothers clone that happens to use all of the DC properties. So you got like the Looney Tunes, you got Scooby-Doo, you got the DC superheroes, Superman, Harley Quinn, Batman, Game of Thrones, Arya Stark.
Rick and Morty.
They just added the Gremlins.
Yeah.
Fucking gizmos in this thing.
I've seen campaigns for Walter White and Saul Goodman to be added to Multiversus.
That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to cook.
I thought it's really fun. I've mostly been playing multiplayer on my friend's console, but I gotta try it out myself on my own for a bit, and I just like the kookiness of Multiversus. Like, obviously we're seeing this pattern with the success of Smash, and I'm kind of surprised, like, this hasn't happened any sooner. Like, I know it happened with PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
Yeah.
But since the release of Smash Ultimate, we've seen, like, all of these, like, party game fighter clones. Like, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. Like, that's one recent example. And now we have...
Brawlhalla,
yep. And now we have Multiversus, which is, like, all these Warner Brothers DC characters just fighting. It's just really silly. It's cute.
Yeah. It's an alright game to play. I don't think I'm going to be in love with this thing the way I am Smash Brothers. I don't think I'm going to be coming back to this all that much. I don't know. To me, I think it's a little floatier and it's a little harder. You don't feel that impact the way you do in Smash Brothers. I feel like whenever I hit people with any of the characters, even like a Superman, even Iron Giant, it's like it kind of connects and it kind of feels like you do damage, but it never feels like, ugh. Like when I hit people with Mario and Smash Brothers, I feel that punch. I feel that smash attack. I feel like I launched them really, really far. But I just don't feel that impact. I don't feel that oof that I do with Smash Brothers. I don't know.
It's like when Bayonetta steps on me in Smash, I feel her stepping on me.
I too go plummeting to the earth.
But I get you with, like, the floatiness. Like, it feels like that for like one of the important things at a fighting game is that like you want to feel that impact. It's some of the like good energy, some of the euphoria that you feel from playing it is that like you're kind of psychologically feeling that impact on your opponent, you know.
Yeah. In terms of single player modes, there's really nothing.
There's not much.
You can play against bots, which, you know, you don't get to choose which bots. They just automatically shuffle the bots for you. Or you just play online with other people, and that's pretty much it. There's no, like, dedicated arcade mode ladder. There's no unlockables. Well, you do get currency the more you play. And again, being a free-to-play game, they're going to expect you to play this game a whole bunch and go through the level ups a lot in order to get the currency to buy other characters. I think it starts off with, like, maybe Shaggy and someone else when the game boots up.
I think I had Wonder Woman?
Alrighty.
I think. I can't remember.
Yeah, neither can I. Because ultimately what I started doing when I first played the game was I went into the lab, and the lab lets you practice with any of your characters, even the ones you don't own. So yep. I would practice with LeBron James, because LeBron James is in this game. Yep. I would practice with Steven Universe and all these different characters, and I was just trying to get a grasp on their combat style and what I found was easier to get into and what I was more comfortable with. And surprisingly, I ended up really siding with Harley Quinn. I thought Harley Quinn, to me, was the most fun character to play.
I loved Harley, too.
So when I started like playing online matches and I started gaining experience points and like currency, eventually I got enough currency to unlock Harley Quinn, and that's who I unlocked first. And I've been playing with her pretty much the whole entire time. Because, you know, I didn't spend a dime on Multiversus. I didn't spend any money on this game. I didn't actually put real currency into it. So I don't have everyone unlocked, and I'm sure if I bought it for real, I could unlock the whole roster and I'd be comfortable with that. But, you know, you have the option. If you don't want to spend money, you don't have to. It's free to play. And as long as you just play for a little bit, you can earn in-game currency to buy any character that you want to practice with and play with for the majority of your time. So that's an option for you. I do think, though, like the cosmetics are way overpriced, though. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Because, like, I wanted the classic outfit for Harley Quinn. I was like, well, you know, I'll spend a little bit of money because why not? I'm not paying anything for this thing. I like her classic outfit. I want to wear her Harley Quinn outfit. And I look at like how many rainbow crystals they want you to spend for that thing. And then I look at how much those rainbow crystals are in the PlayStation store. And I'm like, Jesus, I am not spending $30, $40 to get that fucking costume. That's just one costume. Are you high?
It's like one cosmetic. Yeah.
No fucking way. If it was like $5 or $10, okay. Not 30, 40.
At least in Fall Guys, the prices are understandable. Like, I paid like $7 for my Tails one.
Exactly. I didn't spend $30 for the Eggman outfit in Fall Guys. I know I'm predictable. But I'll buy cosmetics for a free-to-play game if they're relatively cheap. But, like, Harley Quinn's outfit's like 30, 40? No. Sorry. No, that's too high. Maybe when that goes down in price, I'll buy these costumes. But if you're expecting me to buy costumes for all these different characters, and they're all like $30, fuck that. No way. What are you, crazy? I could buy like 3 games for that price. I could buy like so many smaller indie games for that price.
You could buy Klonoa.
I could buy Klonoa. I could buy Klonoa for $30. So that's where they nickel and dime you, but yeah, I mean, there's just not enough single-player modes for me to keep me coming back. And because I don't think it's as fun as Smash, I probably will drop it, like, even if they announce some cool character. Like, I'm very much expecting them to be like, Neo from The Matrix! And it's like, oh, sweet, Neo, I love The Matrix, but, I don't need it.
You don't want Walter White? Just wait until he comes in, and you get to pay $40 to unlock his Heisenberg costume.
If Saul Goodman comes to Multiversus, I will come and I'll play as Saul Goodman. Yes. I'll come back for Saul Goodman, for sure. But in general, I think I'm just waiting for substantial single-player modes or something that is going to keep me coming back. Because, you know, I don't think it's all that different from Street Fighter V, and people complained that Street Fighter V had a terrible launch. Like a just abysmal launch compared to so many Street Fighters that came before it, because Street Fighter V didn't have arcade mode, it didn't have a story mode, it had like survival mode and versus, and that was pretty much it. And that was a huge complaint in 2016. So yeah, you can play online with Multiversus, but that's pretty much all you're going to do, is just you're going to fight other people, and that's about it. Which, I know, it is the point of the game. It is the point of the game. But Smash Brothers has World of Light. Smash Brothers has their classic mode. Yep. Smash Brothers has all these different spirits to collect and all these different single-player things you can do and challenges. I still think that Smash Brothers has a lot more going on than Multiversus. But hey, it's free to play, so I can't complain too much, I guess. I paid money for Street Fighter V. I didn't pay a single dime for Multiversus. So I guess that's the big distinction and the big difference between those deals, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Who is your favorite character?
In Multiversus?
Yeah.
I would have to say Steven Universe.
Interesting. I couldn't jive with that.
I like Steven.
Do you like being a support character?
Yeah, like, it really depends. I find that some fighting games I can get used to the mechanics of some support characters in fighting games more than others. And I guess, I don't know, I clicked with Steven really well here.
Yeah.
But I also liked Harley Quinn from what I played of her. So, yeah.
She was very quick, and she had the most impact of a lot of the characters I played. So that's why I kind of jived with her. That hammer does incredible stuff. But
it does do incredible stuff.
I can't really complain too much about something I didn't pay money for. But it doesn't grab me in the way that like Fall Guys is. I'm still playing Fall Guys.
Same here.
Like, Fall Guys is still fun, even today, and the fact that it keeps getting updated with new maps and stuff, and that is free to play, like, you don't have to pay a dime for those new maps, or those new courses, so, like, when they release some new maps and courses later down the line, I can play that, and I don't have to spend money on that. That's awesome.
So you know what Fall Guys should have?
What's that?
Fall Guys should have a, Saul Goodman costume. I would love playing Fall Guys as Saul Goodman.
What color do you want the Saul Goodman costume to be?
I think it should be pink. Yes, I like the hot pink suit that he had in Better Call Saul.
Magic Man?
Mm-hmm. There could be a Gene Takovic Fall Guy. And it can be in all black and white.
Oh boy. What a tie-in. I don't know if he'll be able to have a Cinnabon logo on his shirt, but...
Yeah.
Cinnabon and Fall Guys, hell yeah.
Gosh. Excellent segue.
Yeah, Better Call Saul ended this year. The last season aired, and we got to see the final episode at long last. The Breaking Bad saga is complete, and this is the first time you've ever gotten into Better Call Saul, yes?
Like, I'd watched Breaking Bad, but with the finale of Saul coming up, I'd realized that, one, I had never seen Saul, and two, I probably need to rewatch Breaking Bad before jumping into Saul. So I rewatched Breaking Bad, I even watched El Camino, and then after that I was like, okay, I'll jump into Saul. It also didn't help that, like, the charity room this year, which is our charity marathon that we did with our friends. We do it with our friends every summer. We were all making, like, Breaking Bad memes during that marathon. And I guess that, like, fueled my need to watch Saul even more. So then, I want to say 2 weeks ago at this point, I started Saul. Then I finished it a few days ago. Wow.
Which, can we talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
You binge shows ridiculously fast. Good lord.
It's why I don't binge them often, because I know that when I start, I'm just not going to stop.
You have a job!
I do have a job.
You have a job that you go to where you get paid, and somehow you binged 6 seasons worth of the show in like 2 weeks. It's crazy.
My work-life balance has been fantastic with this new position, so I have time to binge shows.
I don't have the capacity for that. It's like, I can't sit down and watch a show for like more than 3-4 hours, you know? Then I get exhausted or I get tired or I just want to do something else, you know? And you just blew through.
Tell them how long it took for me to finish my rewatch of Breaking Bad.
Must have been 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it was around 2 weeks.
But like, no, it's like literally you got to the last season of Better Call Saul and I'm like, oh, you started watching it. Sweet. And I figured you were like, because you were giving me like sad emojis on Discord. You were giving me like sad pictures and I'm like, oh, she must be reacting to this one character death. But which one? And I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who's listening right now, but
yeah,
there's a lot of character deaths in season 6, and I'm thinking it must be the one in episode 3 because it happens fairly early, and you know, I'm sure she must like that character. And then I talked to her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm on episode 9." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
You just started. It was you just got it. It was a day. It was a day, literally, and you're on episode 9.
Literally, I got home from work at like 3, and then I actually had to go to Amazon Prime to buy the episode, so I own season 6, which is great because season 6 is my favorite season from Saul. And then I started when I got home, and then I probably didn't finish until like midnight. I finished the episode 10 at midnight.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was just all the way through.
I could not do that. I would probably go through 3 episodes, stop, 3 another day, stop, 3 another day after that.
No. We gotta go all the way because redacted and redacted have to do redacted. No, we go in all the way until it's time for bed. And that's what I said to myself. I'm like, I'm gonna watch as many episodes of this season as I can until it's time to sleep.
Good lord. Good lord.
Which, it was one emotional punching bag after another emotional punching bag. Which is why I was such a mess when I texted him. It was like, come on, oh my gosh. This season doesn't hold back.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I've been watching Better Call Saul on and off since it came out, which was like 2015, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember really enjoying the show as it was going along. I remember thinking some of the episodes were a little bit slow and, you know, kind of enjoying Breaking Bad a little bit more. But the more it went on, it just got better and better. And there's so many amazing montages in this show. The schemes that Jimmy does to con people are just so elaborate and so creative, you know? And yeah, it's a very entertaining show to the point where like season 6, I'm on pins and needles, and season 6 almost feels like more bleak than any other season of Breaking Bad somehow.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Which is shocking because like Breaking Bad gets really bleak in its final season. Like,
yep.
Ozymandias might be the most intense episode I've ever seen on television.
Same. Ozymandias just made me like tense, and it made me cry. It was just like, oh my gosh, everything is just going to shit. Everything is being destroyed.
Let's start from scratch because people might not know. I know it's the most popular thing in the world. I know there are memes everywhere, but...
Oh yes, and if you follow my Twitter, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry for all the memes that I've been retweeting. So y'all gotta deal with that, okay?
In 2008 or 2009, Breaking Bad came out on AMC. And it's a series about a chemistry teacher named Walter White who finds out that he has lung cancer. And because he's not financially prepared for that kind of stuff, he decides to cook crystal meth with a junkie burnout student of his named Jesse Pinkman. And then they find that they are dealing with crazy cartel nut jobs like Tuco, Salamanca, and they have to avoid the DEA, which... His brother, his stepbrother, Hank Schrader, is part of the DEA.
Brother-in-law.
He has to deal with all these sleazy people like a lawyer named Saul Goodman who can launder his money. And it's part comedy. I always think of it as like, it's intense, it's action-packed, it is a drama, but there's also a lot of comedy in this show.
Yeah. There are a lot of funny moments with like the characters and sometimes with the situations that they find themselves in, and kind of like it's also kind of like a lot of dark humor, which I like.
Yeah.
And I think it pulls it off very well.
It's like I think about like just that moment where like early on in the show when Jesse's trying to like flush something down the toilet and Walt's trying to get him off the toilet and they just start like kick fighting each other and it's like it's like the stupidest thing in the world. There are so many moments where Walt is just such a loser.
Yeah.
He goes after like Ted Beneke for one episode and he like starts dragging this plant around.
Yeah.
And they're all like, what the hell are you doing? He's just like, nothing. I'm fine. And of course, when Saul Goodman was introduced, he was just like pure comic relief. His character was nothing but comedy, and he was just constantly making jokes and you two suck at peddling myth, you know?
Yeah.
But despite all the comedy that is in the show, it does get bleak and it does get kind of fucked up. Like, this is one moment where Hank gets like promoted in his job and he ends up going down the border to work for the real stuff, you know, the real cartel shit. And they stumble upon Danny Trejo's character who has been decapitated and put onto a turtle. And at first the DEA people are just kind of laughing about this, like, oh, while Hank is kind of having like a fucking panic attack because it's like the most grisly, horrible thing he's ever seen.
It's like he's going from what he deals with in Albuquerque to like the border and just being like, oh my gosh, this is like,
yeah,
this is horrible.
And the fact that the other guys are just like laughing about it so nonchalantly is like, dude, what the fuck? This is fucked up.
It also makes you think that like, if this is what they're laughing at, then what the fuck would they have to deal with that would scare them?
I know.
You know.
But the joke's on them, ultimately, because it turns out there's a landmine underneath the head, and when they try to move the head, boom! They all go fucking boom. Except for Hank, who just took a step back to, like, breathe, you know?
Yeah.
So that's fucking intense. A lot of characters die. We get to see the harsh realities of drug use and what people addicted to meth go through, you know?
Yep.
But you never see that much of it at all in Saul. Saul does not deal with the whole drug aspect until, like, the very, very end.
Yeah.
But, no, it's a very sobering show. It's incredibly well acted. There are so many great moments. Like, there are so many iconic friggin' moments that I could rewatch over and over and over again. Box cutter, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yep. Yes.
Pizza, that's all I'm gonna say.
Pizza. Walter Jr. and his breakfast. The show has a lot of really fantastic research put into it. This is a moment that I don't find a lot of people talk about often, but in his season 2 episode, I think it's the episode before Saul, it opens up with a Mexican band singing about the blue meth and Heisenberg and you know, the drug deals and stuff. And apparently Vince Gilligan and his team did research into like narco corridos, which is Spanish for like songs that talk about a story and are told through traditional Mexican music. They paid so much attention to how those music videos are produced, which is why I was laughing when I was seeing, it's like, oh my gosh, all the cuts and all the cheesy video effects, this is exactly what these, like, music videos for these bands are like, because I grew up with these kinds of, like, music videos. So a lot of my family comes from Latin America, so it was just, like, they put a lot of thought into, like, the presentation in that segment, and that's something I really appreciated.
It's great. But yeah, I remember hearing about the show constantly. Like, it was always winning like Emmys and stuff. Like, they were always getting all these awards and they were always getting like high accolades. But I didn't really start watching it until Netflix, because it ended up on Netflix, and then I just binged through like all 4 seasons, and then season 5 came out and I watched that live. And Jesus, watching season 5 live was intense. You never knew what the hell was going to happen next, and you're just like, oh God, my heart, I can't take it.
I had watched it in college, I think this was like in 2017. Because I had known it was around for a while.
Yeah.
But around the time it came out, I was in high school. And I think the finale was like my senior year of high school, and I was definitely busy with like a lot of like I was a bookworm in high school. I was that kid. I was a straight A student. I was that kid. I was studying a lot, and unfortunately, when it was airing, the show kind of just flew out of my radar. But some friends had started watching it when I was in college, so I joined them, and that's kind of how I got roped into the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I thought it was very, very wonderful show, very impactful when I first watched it. I was like crying in season 5. Yeah, I'm an emotional person. As Clement will tell you, like, I cry a lot at like media.
You always ask me, would I cry at this sad thing that's coming up? And I'm just like, yes, you will. There are very few things in media that make me tear up. Although, in this instance, Better Call Saul is one of them. There was one episode that genuinely makes me tear up every time I watch it. Mm-hmm. It's season 3, episode 9. I do not like what happens to poor Irene in that episode. I don't like it. I don't like watching it. I don't like thinking about it. I don't like thinking about someone that age just losing everything like that. Oh, don't like it.
But yeah, like it was an emotional watch, and like with everyone talking about Saul ending, I realized that I hadn't seen it, so I kind of just watched it from there.
Yeah, I remember when we were doing the charity room, we did the Sonic debate the day that the finale was on. The moment that the finale was on, we were doing the debate as the show was airing, and I was just like, oh god, I want this debate to be over so I can get to the show and watch the ending.
Yeah. They needed someone, babe. All right, hold on.
And I was happy to oblige.
Yeah, they needed someone, Clement.
Better Call Saul is a fantastic show. It's a very worthy successor to Breaking Bad. I feel a lot of people might find it a little bit slower than Breaking Bad. It definitely is a more relaxed show, I guess.
I'm being completely serious right now. Better Call Saul might be my favorite show.
Oh boy.
Ever
Ever of all time.
Ever.
Goddamn.
Ever.
More than that 70s show?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
Goddamn.
I have not stopped. I can't remember the last time I did this with a TV show. I have not stopped watching, like, interviews and table reads and fan cam videos and meme edits and, bookmarking GIFs. Like, if you go through my Twitter bookmark tweets, it's a mess right now.
Oh god.
There are, like, hundreds of Saul memes in my bookmarks right now. So I've just saved them.
You know when you go on YouTube and you go to, like, the main page, like, not the subscription page, but the main page, and, like, all the videos you've been watching, the algorithm decides to, like, put up front and center on your, you might be interested in. It's probably all just Better Call Saul content.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'll take a picture later, but it is. Like, I have not stopped thinking about the finale since I watched it. I was crying a lot. I think the last time I cried to, like, a media this hard was when I beat Final Fantasy X, because that ending gets me every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I just love this show so much. It is amazing. Like, if I've always wanted to, like, make my own story. It's one of my life goals. And if I made a TV show, it would look something like that. I love cinematography. I'm a sucker for it.
Oh, the cinematography on these shows is so good.
So beautiful. Beautiful show. And I know it's weird. I know it's weird saying that because, oh, it's a show about lawyers and drug dealings. How can the show be described as beautiful? But it is. It's so beautiful.
I remember there's like one day we just started like posting our favorite screenshots of the show, just our favorite like cinematography moments, and just like we had like so much material to work with. It was crazy.
There's a lot. Like, I think their Twitter page is dedicated to just posting those screenshots. Like, my profile picture on Twitter right now is my favorite screenshot in the whole show.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
I love this sense of humor that the makers of this show have, where like they're very in touch with online social media kind of stuff. Because like every time for both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, on AMC's YouTube page, they would release all of these comedy videos. Like Saul Goodman got a lot with Breaking Bad because they were like, well, we can milk the hell out of this character. So they make dozens upon dozens of Saul Goodman commercials that were never seen in the show. You would not see them if you're just binging the show. But if you want to see him give legal advice on how to handle a tiger in Albuquerque, or or how a boxer can sue someone or he can sue a critic for saying he's a bad boxer. I'm Saul Goodman and I'll fight for you. So you better call Saul or else.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Okay, so Breaking Bad, my two favorite characters in that show were Jesse and Saul.
Yes.
Like, those two have an interaction in season 5 that's, like, super intense, and that made me be like, oh my gosh, no, I want these two to be okay. So, like, I'd always seen Saul as this very comedic character. Like, obviously, there's something up with him based on, like, the mannerisms of him, like, peddling money, and obviously dealing with all these criminals. But Saul made me empathize with him so much. Or at least, like, made me be like, oh, he needs a hug. I just want to hug him.
That should have been the name of the show. Saul Goodman Needs a Hug.
Yes. It's like, how did the show make me feel so down bad for Saul Goodman? What the fuck? Like, you have to do some sort of crazy character development to make me feel that way. Jeez.
Well, it's like, with Breaking Bad especially, it always felt like they tried to humanize him every season onwards. Because I remember, like, there was this moment I really enjoyed where Jesse is like hiding from Andrea and he's giving her checks and he's sending Saul to deliver those checks for her or for him. And when we cut to Saul, he's going into his car and Jesse's literally in the car. Like he's in his car outside the house. He's not even far away. He came with him on the trip. And Saul's just sort of like, you know, it'd probably just make her a lot happier if you showed up in person, you know? Like, I'm happy being Ed McMahon here, but, like, you get the sense, like, his legal advice is actually good. You know, he's actually a very good lawyer in Breaking Bad. He's actually helping, and if they would listen to him more often, they would have been fine.
I feel like that should be the name of Breaking Bad. Walter White needs to listen to other people. Like, if he had listened to Saul, and if he had listened to Mike, and if he had listened to, like, you know, everyone around him.
You could have called the show Ego.
Yeah, you could have called the show. The show easily could have ended, like, in the first 2 episodes or something.
Something like that.
All it would have taken was for Elliot and Gretchen to be like, hey, we'll give you money for your cancer treatment. And Walter's like, okay. And then the show ends. He still has everything.
Yeah.
Saul doesn't need to hide. Jesse could still do his thing or whatever. The family would still be fine.
There were moments when he was out. It's like season 3, he was out, he quit, he was going to be done, he wasn't going to cook meth anymore, but then it's just like, oh, Jesse's going to be making the product now? Fuck that. I'm better at making this stuff than Jesse. To hell with that.
But no, Clement, he did it for family. That's the reason why. He did this for his family.
Sure, Walter, sure. But yeah, it was one of my favorite characters of Breaking Bad, so it was a good idea to give him the spinoff. And yeah, they really humanize his character. I love the continuity because they take so many like one-off lines from his first episode and actually integrate it into the storyline perfectly. Like the first time you meet Saul in Breaking Bad, he actually tells Walter like, "Oh, my real name's McGill. The Jewish name is just for the homeboys, you know." So they they think I'm real important. And as soon as they get him out into the desert, he's just like, no, I'm a friend of the cartel. Ignacio's the one. Ignacio did it. Wait, Lalo didn't send you? It's like, who?
It's like, Ignacio, Lalo, who are those characters? But then, they're in Saul.
What I think is admirable about the show is that, like, you know, so many times they make a prequel to something, they can, like, contradict themselves or just completely retcon something that they said previously and be like you're rewatching the original show and it's just like, oh, I've seen the prequel, that didn't add up very well. And no, surprisingly, I feel like if you watch Better Call Saul first and then watch Breaking Bad after, you're not going to find too many contradictions. You're not going to find anything feels out of place. You're not going to find that the show doesn't make sense. It all actually kind of works perfectly. You understand exactly how the Jimmy McGill of season 1 ends up becoming the Saul Goodman of Breaking Bad season 2, you know?
And, like, you get a lot of information about, like, where he grew up, who his family was, why he ended up in law, the kind of people who helped him along the way, or tore him down, depending on how you view it. But you get a good sense of, like, how and why he became the character he was in Breaking Bad. Also, a lot of TV shows love taking the comedy character and making spin-offs off of them, which a lot of the time fails because they don't give these characters a chance to develop other than like, oh, they're funny. They're gonna do a funny haha thing.
Yeah.
But they take Saul and just explain his arc and humanize him in a way where all of his comedy is kind of sad to look at in hindsight.
Yeah.
It's like you look at the way he acts in like Breaking Bad and you're like, this is all just like a front. Now I see why he's acting this way.
When you were talking about like a spin-off, I just had in my head like Joey versus Frasier. Frasier has character. It has lots of stuff behind it. Joey is just Joey again. Only he's in California.
A more modern example. Actually, this isn't modern. This is like 10 years ago. Oh gosh, I feel old. But I guess for like my Gen Z people in here. Another example is Jimmy Neutron. Great show. I loved that cartoon growing up as a kid. But they took Sheen and they made an entire show off him. And it just didn't do well.
I've never even heard of it.
Good. You don't need to know anything else about Planet Sheen. It's a horrible show.
Okay.
That was like the early 2010s. You were definitely like aged out by then.
Yeah, I wasn't watching kids' cartoons. I'm a grown-ass man. Yeah, I don't know if I agree that Better Call Saul is the better show. I think Breaking Bad has so many crazy moments that just are so iconic and so incredible that, like, I think it edges out a little bit, but I still love both shows, and I would still recommend both shows, no problem.
I'm on the opposite camp where I think Saul is a better show than Breaking Bad. Don't get me wrong, Breaking Bad is still one of my favorite shows ever. Fantastic, it's crazy, has a lot of wild moments, but I think a lot of the artistry in Better Call Saul improves a lot from what they did in Breaking Bad. And yeah, it's a slower show, but I'm a sucker for like character-driven narratives and story, and I think they do this so well. And for them to really accomplish making a complete 6-season show, which has an ending that everyone, for the most part, universally likes.
Yeah.
And for Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, and his team to do this twice, like, that's, like, super, super rare. It is so rare that you have, like, a team that really understands their audience, the characters in their universe, and the world building that they've created, and they make 2 successful shows. To the point where either or have very good reasons to be the better show.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen often. Like, and like, speaking from a professional wrestling perspective,
oh, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. I think this is a good segue into the next topic. But from that perspective, I understand why a lot of the stories and character developments in Being the Elite come together the way they do, is because the Young Bucks actually took inspiration from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So part of the reason why I was so giddy when watching Saul was like, oh my gosh, they do this shit in BTE. They literally do this. With like all the symbolism and the colors and everything. So I thought that was like a fun thing to observe.
Yeah. But yeah, folks, Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, they're fantastic. You should watch them. And because they're super popular, I'm guessing you already have.
I promise you the commitment is worth it. It is some of the best storytelling you will ever see. I love it. Clement loves it. A lot of people do. There's a reason why it's so acclaimed. It gets nominated and wins like a lot of awards. Like, please give these two shows a chance.
And it's got some of the best memes on the internet.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I'm still thinking about that one where Walter's in Mario Kart and he's driving through Rainbow Road. Jesus, yeah. That's insane.
I have to wonder, like, because a lot of the memes that I would imagine when Breaking Bad was airing were very millennial based, but now, like, younger people who weren't necessarily watching Breaking Bad or Saul back then, but are watching it now, are making these memes. And I think that's just really fascinating.
Yeah. It lives on thanks to Better Call Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Still relevant. Still in our consciousness. But anyway, that was a good segue earlier, Caro. You were talking about how you thought this show felt like wrestling. Well, guess what? Wrestling has had a crazy shakeup this year, especially since our last podcast. Holy moly.
Oh, it has. So, a little bit of story time. So, I was buying a PlayStation 5 from Best Buy. And I find out that Vince McMahon is gone from the company.
Oh my God!
That's where I was when Vince left the WWE, buying a PlayStation 5. And everyone's freaking out. I thought it was, like, fake at first, because I don't necessarily believe a lot of news that I see when I go on Twitter. I usually verify it from, like, Fightful.com or The Observer. Those are my two main sources. But then I saw those two sites being like, oh, no, this is legit. And I'm like, fuck, oh my gosh, Vince is gone. Vince is actually gone.
This guy, he's always been a controversial figure. He's always made these bonehead decisions. He's always been this controversy sells, I don't care, blah, blah, blah kind of guy. And yeah, it turns out behind the scenes, he has been sexing it up with a lot of the female talent on his company and paying them hush money to keep it quiet, even though he's a married man and all that.
It's not the only thing. Found out he was embezzling money from his own company and paying off these victims.
You know, as you do.
Possibly using budget cuts for those released superstars, or wrestlers, I mean, sorry, we're in the Triple H era, I'm gonna use wrestlers. Using the budget cut excuse for releasing wrestlers during COVID to cover up those expenses.
What a lovely human being.
Very, very, very lovely. Very, very nice human being.
Hi. You know, it's weird. I have like a weird relationship in regards to Vince McMahon, because it's like, when I was a kid, you know, he was the ultimate heel. You always wanted to see Stone Cold Steve Austin take the fight to Mr. McMahon and give him a stunner and show him what's for. And, you know, Mr. McMahon, he is a charismatic guy. I can't deny that he's entertaining to watch in the show. He's very funny. He's got great timing. He's got great presence. I can't deny that he's a fantastic character on TV.
Because his theme song's, like, catchy, and he's so embedded in wrestling culture that a lot of things are just like, oh, Vince, it's Vince being Vince and doing that, and But all this is coming out, and, like, there have been stories of him being an asshole and being a horrible, horrible, despicable human in the past. Yeah. But this was just like, wow.
I feel like every week that Dark Side of the Ring does an episode about WWE content, there's always a segment, there's always a part where Vince McMahon, like, fucks over the person somehow, you know?
Yeah.
There's always a story like that. And even just like when I think of like all the wrestlers who left WWE to go to AEW, and he's always in creative control. He's always had creative control of the company. He's always decided how things are going to play out. And a lot of the wrestlers find that so limiting and so restrictive because he feels so out of touch with what modern audiences want that he'll just make their character dumb, or he'll make the, you know, let's have Brock and Roman fight again for the 7th time in a row because that's what Vince McMahon wants, and it's his way or the highway. And so, and it's really shown in the product itself, because I haven't personally been invested in WWE for like 5-6 years now, and it's why I've been watching AEW so much, is because I just think it's a better show, or at least I did, back in the day.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
I found AEW to be a much better show because WWE was just stagnating and being so repetitive and so lame and so everything. And a lot of that comes down to Vince McMahon's creative direction and the way he runs things. And it was just like, God, when Vince McMahon's gone, this company's going to be better. But until he is, this show is boring. And now he's gone. Vince McMahon's actually gone.
He's actually gone. I thought this guy was going to be in charge until he died. I thought he had another 20 to 30 years in the tank.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
No, he's ousted. He's no longer the one with creative control. Now it is Triple H. And I swear, it must have been like a week or 2 weeks. WWE just started getting better almost instantly. It's crazy.
It's wild too, because like suddenly Triple H is calling up Io Shirai, now known as Io Sky, up to the main roster. He brought back Dakota Kai, he brought back Karrion Kross, he's brought back Braun Strowman, he's brought back all of these wrestlers who were released. He brought back Dexter Lumis. And now NXT 2.0 is rebranding back to the black and gold NXT that everyone loved before AEW came around.
That was my baby, goddammit.
Yeah, and now he's just like, fuck you, I'm bringing my baby back. So there's been a lot of great changes. I actually tune into like Raw and SmackDown weekly, which I haven't done in like years. And it just feels so good. And like nothing is perfect, but it feels so much better watching these shows knowing that Triple H is in charge, because the matches matter more and there's meaningful character development and the segments aren't wasting anyone's time.
I think the most significant thing, which kind of became a meme on Twitter, like a lot of companies were backing off of this moment, was WWE at one point just tweeted one word. They tweeted one word, and that word was wrestling.
Yep.
And that might seem kind of random if you're not in the know. Like, that might just seem like, oh, yeah, a wrestling company tweets wrestling. Okay, great tweet. But no, you don't understand. You don't understand.
Nope, you do not understand at all. This is like a big deal.
This word was not allowed to be said for the longest time. For whatever reason, Vince McMahon did not want the World Wrestling Entertainment to ever acknowledge wrestling.
Gosh.
This is the kind of man that Vince McMahon is, okay?
There is a whole list of banned words that Vince did not want anyone to use, and wrestling and wrestlers were on there. And now you have Drew McIntyre cutting a promo with the word wrestler in it. And you have all these... You have Michael Cole referencing PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. They're an indie promotion in California. You have Michael Cole referencing wrestling promotions that exist outside of WWE. And Michael Cole's commentary has gotten 100% better.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. Like SummerSlam, the first pay-per-view that Triple H was in charge of, Michael Cole was showing so much personality that I hadn't seen from him in years. Like, in decades. And it's just incredible that Vince being gone from his ear has really, I guess, motivated him to, like, you know, bring a lot of his personality out again. Because that wasn't the case for the last decade.
What was it Corey Graves said to him was like, I liked you better when people were feeding you lines.
Yeah, and then Michael Cole was like, well, things have changed. A lot's changed.
There's been so many, like, banger promos. Like, I just see, like, all these promos come up on my timeline every now and then. There's, like, that Seth Rollins, Matt Riddle one where they're, like, they're doing picture by picture. They're talking to each other from, like, 2 different rooms. And it's just like, hey, Riddle, you still there? He's like, yeah, I'm still here.
And then Seth's like, we'll talk about my family. Let's talk about your family. Let's talk about how your wife took her kids and left you your bitch ass home. And I'm like, damn! No way! Vince would never let this in his WWE. No.
Damn, Daniel.
Gosh. It's like lines like that. It's just, I would have never seen that. If Vince was still in charge now, oh gosh, that feud would have been bad.
Yeah. The only thing I'm waiting for Triple H to do is like cut Raw down to 2 hours again. If
he has expressed interest in it.
If he can get Raw down to 2 hours, I will genuinely focus on Raw every week again, because I just don't want to watch 3 hours of wrestling. If he can get it to 2 hours, like AEW does it, oh my god, I'll so be back watching that every week.
Speaking of AEW, how the tables have turned.
I equated it to like a Seinfeld joke, where like there's this episode called The Opposite, where George decides to do the opposite of every instinct he has, and he all of a sudden gets major success. All of a sudden his life is turning around, and now he's got like a job with the Yankees, and life is good for George. Meanwhile, Elaine, whose life was pretty good at Pendant Publishing, is now going down the crapper because she's being evicted from her apartment, and she loses her job, and everything's just fucking going wrong for her. Meanwhile, Jerry, everything evens out for him. Like, if he spends $20 somewhere, he'll get $20 back. Something goes up, something goes down, you know? So it's like, that's how I feel about wrestling right now, where like AEW was up. It was the best show of the week. It was so great. It was such a great alternative to the boring and stale Vince McMahon WWE. And now they are down because of all this Tony Khan drama and CM Punk drama and all this drama going on behind the scenes, and Triple H picking the pieces up and putting WWE back on top. And it's just like, the roles have reversed so much. It's crazy.
The roles have reversed so much that I think Triple H should win promoter/booker of the year.
Oh, for sure.
Just because of how much he was able to turn WWE and make it into like, and again, no wrestling promotion is perfect, but he's made WWE watchable again. And for the AEW fans who say, well, he just turned it into mediocre, ours is still better. I'm like, imagine being a WWE fan for years, wanting it to be better, wanting it to improve, and not having that chance. Because of Vince, Triple H changing that for them, that's incredible. I give him credit for that. Meanwhile, with your promotion, you're all sucked up in drama because Tony Khan can't fucking stand up to his wrestlers and say no once in a while.
It's weird. It's just been like Drama City for a while now, and it all started with like MJF, and it's like kind of those blurred lines where you don't know if it's a work and you don't know if it's part of the show, and it's kind of confusing at first because it's like, you know, there was supposed to be a match between him and Wardlow at one of the pay-per-views.
I was there that weekend at Double or Nothing. So basically, well, I'll tell my personal story of it. So basically, my friends and I were in Vegas for Double or Nothing. I have a group of friends that I go to wrestling events with every now and then. And we were getting lunch at the Strip, and we were going to head over to FanFest afterwards. And one of our friends couldn't join us for lunch because he was in line to meet MJF. So he's texted us while we were eating, because we were telling him, hey, we'll meet you over at Mandalay Bay, which is where the con was. And he was like, okay, I'll meet you as soon as MJF is finished. So we're eating, and he texts our group, and he's like, so MJF just isn't here. He's not showing up. And apparently, MJF no-showed his meet and greet, and was in the casino playing games instead. And he decided to just threaten his appearance at Double or Nothing. So for a while, even up to like the time the doors opened for Double or Nothing the next day, people weren't even sure if this match was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because obviously, so the reason why MJF was so mad was he wanted like contract negotiations, he wanted higher money, which I get because, you know, yes, he is a newer star, but like he has shown himself to be such a viable asset to AEW's, you know, creativity and their product that I don't necessarily blame him for asking for more money. He ended up showing up. I guess they worked something out. They did the match. Wardlow won. MJF, they went ahead and put it on the first match of the night. And then MJF cuts this promo on the following Wednesday. And it's like a work shoot kind of promo. He's saying, F you, Tony, pay me. I deserve more. And da, 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 and all of you are awful. And I'm the best. And I'm the reason why AEW is the way it is. And then he just leaves. And he's gone until the latest pay-per-view, All Out, which was a couple weeks ago. He appeared after CM Punk won the AEW championship. And it was hinting at a future showdown between MJF and CM Punk, which is great. But then Punk had to go on the press conference and bash everyone and take the mic away from Tony Khan and just be like, I'm running things, Tony. I'm running this business, or whatever. And it's devolved into this mess. It's really awful on wrestling Twitter. I've just been watching Better Call Saul during it. I'm like, I'll catch y'all later. I'm gonna watch Saul. But it's like a really, it's really nasty for AEW right now, and a lot of this has been building up for a while, mostly because of Tony's leadership.
Well, it's like I wanted to back up a little bit just because the reason I wanted to bring up this MJF Wardlow thing was because for the whole weekend, like before that match was about to happen, all I would see on social media is just like people freaking out about whether MJF was going to be there or not, and all this drama associated with it. And even the match, and it felt like the match itself was like kind of an afterthought. Like all of a sudden it felt like Wardlow wasn't really the focus. Like this is supposed to be a big moment for Wardlow where his career is supposed to blossom and he's supposed to get one up over MJF, and like now his career is going to take off. It's fucking Wardlow. Oh yeah. And now it's like overshadowed because everyone's just talking about MJF and not Wardlow. And it's like, he got the win, but nobody's talking about that, you know? No. And there was a moment in the promo where MJF was like talking, like his shoot promo, where he's just like, you know, surely you could pay me the money that you pay all those ex-WWE guys who come in.
Ooh, spicy.
And there have been like rumblings of like behind the scenes drama of like all these new talent coming in and people not liking getting along. Like apparently Thunder Rosa has beef with a lot of the ladies for some reason.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird. It's like this whole thing. This isn't the first time Thunder Rosa has been like, I don't know, focused on in the media. And like, there came a point, because one of the things that they said about Rosa was that like she sandbags her opponents, and sandbagging, if you don't know, is a term that means to not like sell your opponent's hits as legitimate.
Yeah.
And then she wears like a sandbagging shirt, and I'm like, first of all, who approved this? And second of all, like, is the casual audience gonna understand what the fuck sandbagging is? And I'm like, I have to put all this on Tony, because like, dude, what are you doing? How are you approving this? Like, what has your leadership style been this year? Because this is ridiculous.
The women's division is still not up to WWE standards, and even with Vince McMahon in charge, the state of women's wrestling was so much better in WWE like 6 or 7 years ago, you know, when like Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair were main eventing WrestleMania. They were the main event. Their Royal Rumbles would be the final match of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They got big screen time, and they were always up front and center, and it feels like AEW is always just steps behind, especially now that it's been 2 or 3 years since AEW began. Like, all right, you were starting out, you were just figuring it out, okay, fine, but now we're in 2022, and it's just like, you gotta boost the women's division a little bit better now.
Give the women time. They just need time. I don't care if it's 2022 and this company was founded 3 years ago. Just give them time and they'll improve. That's such bullshit. What a sick joke.
What a sick joke. You think this is bad? This chicanery? He's done worse. But it also just, the drama just keeps compounding, because it's like, it's the weirdest thing with CM Punk where, you know, he's been in promos with MJF, with Eddie Kingston, where it's very personal. They talked, like, fucking MJF brought up the Colt Cabana suing part in their storyline. It was discussed. It was brought up. You know, CM Punk called him a less famous Miz and shit. Like, there's lots of personal shit that goes into these promos, of course.
Eddie Kingston literally called CM Punk a pussy. Eddie Kingston literally was like, I wrestled with you in the indies. I know the person you truly are, and you manipulate people backstage. He was way worse than Hangman Page.
Yeah,
way
which
worse than
I'm getting
Hangman.
to.
Yeah.
So, like, It's weird that CM Punk is choosing Hangman Page of all the people to be the guy who's going in business for himself and getting really mad about a comment that kayfabe other people have already made, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a strange thing where he won the title, he won the main event, he's on top of the world, but because like one fan yelled Colt Cabana at him one night, it's just been on his mind and he can't let it go, and he just had to unleash and go off on that one media scrum they did, which is just like, and, oh my god, man.
He's making fun of the fact that he made, one of the things he said was like, at least I don't share a bank account with my mom, but like Colt Cabana's mom is like super sick. I think she has like, she's sick with something, I forget what it is, but the reason why Colt shares an account with her is that he can use his wrestling money to give her the treatment that she needs.
Like, I figured it wouldn't be like a lack of effort or a lack of smarts or something. Like, Colt Cabana is obviously a smart guy. He had a podcast of his own. He was incredibly successful with that podcast, and he's obviously a bright guy. He's a great wrestler and whatnot. Like, he's not dumb. It's not like, I don't know how to set up my own bank account. Oh, it's so confusing. Like, I seriously doubt Colt Cabana can't set up his own bank account.
He is the mastermind of 1 hour teas. CM Punk, what the fuck? He's like the reason why we have the shirts and shop AEW. You don't think he knows shit about finances? What the fuck are you saying? I'm so sorry. That's just so asinine that you would say something like that when Colt Cabana has literally formulated the t-shirt business and how that whole economy has worked in the wrestling scene for the last decade.
Yeah.
But sure, he shares a bank account with his mom because he doesn't know shit about finances. Cool.
You know, and that'd be one thing if he was making a really, really big worked promo in the scrum, but then, of course, it bled into actual backstage drama behind the scenes, and it's like, oh my god, what the hell's going on with this company?
It makes me infuriated, and I'm sorry if I'm particularly passionate here, because I've been very involved in the AEW community essentially since it started. I've been with the Elite since 2017. I've literally seen them create this company into the product that it is today, and I've seen the good that has come out of it. And for Tony to, one, not defend the EVPs that helped him start his company, that actually said, yes, we'll give you a chance, when they easily could have taken Triple H's WWE offer. And two, to not stop CM Punk when he is the literal president and CEO, and he, at any point, could have been like, hey, let's table this for later, can we just take questions from the press? That's all he could have said. That is all he could have said. And then he's just like, okay, I'll just stand here. And then later, in that same scrum, he's talking about, like, WWE can't mess with me because we do things better and they're not going to take my talent away. Where's that energy for your EVPs? Where's that energy for your women's division? Where's that energy for the health of your locker room? Where is that energy for all of this game that you talk? You're spending so much time shitting on WWE, which, first of all, that sort of like, oh, well, they're, you know, lesser than us, they run a sloppy shop. And those comments don't hold as much impact anymore because Triple H is literally building WWE off the ground again and making it so fun to watch again. And you're just spending time still shitting on them when you could easily take that energy and resources and invest them into making your women's division better.
Yeah.
It is so ridiculous, and I'm sorry for the rant. I'm just tired of, like... I have a very complicated relationship with Tony. And it's just like, what are you doing? Where did it go wrong?
It's just been such an awkward time for AEW right now. And especially now that WWE's like picking up again, and it's like, you know, maybe a lot of the guys who left WWE for AEW because of Vince McMahon's creative control and stuff, they might be thinking like, I might want to go back now. I might want to go back to WWE. Because it's looking pretty good. I forget, did Cody Rhodes go to WWE after our last podcast, or was that before?
Before.
Yeah.
Cody left. Cody was a free agent in January. He left in February and appeared at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So yes, this was all before our last podcast.
Yeah. Either way, it's just, it's just kind of awkward how there's constantly all this drama behind the scenes popping up, and storylines keep getting dropped and changed around, and it's like, my God, that title situation. I know it's mostly because of CM Punk's injuries. I mean, even if CM Punk didn't cause all this drama, he would still have an injury, which is weird.
Boy, he hasn't even held the title for a week. He's had 2 reigns with the title, and combined it hasn't been a full week. Because he won at Double or Nothing, and then 3 days later he injures his toe. And then he wins at All Out, and 3 days later it's vacated. He hasn't even had a chance to defend his title.
And so we're having another interim tournament to decide who is going to be the champion. It's not interim?
It's not interim, it's a legit championship.
All right, good.
The finals are this Wednesday. It's going to be Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. But either way, it's just like, it's hard to focus on the product,
It's been so demoralizing for me lately, which is sad. Because, like, the beginning of this year was great. I've been to quite a lot of events this year with AEW. Like, Revolution was fun, and going to Double or Nothing was fun, and Forbidden Door was such a blast, and all of this now just is honestly demoralizing me, because, like, CM Punk was not the only one who was suspended for this situation. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were also suspended. And they had recently won the Trios Championships at All Out, and now those titles are vacated. And don't get me wrong, the Death Triangle, the Lucha Bros are fantastic. Like, I'm happy they're holding the titles, but it's also really kind of bittersweet, because it was a great moment for the Elite. It was a wonderful moment for Kenny to come back after being out for 9 months and to win a title with some of his best friends. And we don't know how long they're going to be gone. I don't even think I'm going to see them in Philly. And I really hope they go to the Toronto show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Clement and I are going to go to AEW when they go to Canada. And I really wanted Clement to see Kenny. But I don't know if that's going to happen now.
He might not be there, but, we'll still have fun regardless.
I hope so.
So yeah, very strange. The things have changed so much in just a few months, it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a completely 180 opinion on these two companies right now compared to this at the start of the year. And hopefully it's just a little dry spell. Hopefully it's just a little lull period, and they're going to get creatively invigorated and decide, like, all right, AEW is kind of down in the crapper. We got to, like, boost this thing. We got to, like, steer the ship again, because WWE's real competition now, and we got to get back into this thing, okay? So let's put our full creative power into this. Let's do it right, God damn it.
I really hope so, because I have 3 more AEW shows for the year. I have Philly Dynamite in 2 weeks. Of this recording, by the way. Toronto with you, and then Full Gear is in Newark, New Jersey. And that's pretty close-ish to me, so I'm going to that one with friends. So I hope it's good. I really hope it is.
Hey, the state of wrestling. It's very bizarre. It just ebbs and flows. You never know who's going to be up and who's going to be down and who's going to be suspended and who's going to be not. It's very, very strange business. Very strange business.
It's all chicanery. Or chicanery.
It's not chicanery.
Chicanery.
I have never heard anyone call it chicanery. But yeah, folks, I guess that's it for the podcast. That's it for C Squared today. Also, I wanted to mention that as of this video being uploaded, another thing that I'm uploading at the exact same time is my Patreon announcement video. Because I, for the first time in all the years that I've been doing this on YouTube, should have been doing this sooner, I am opening a Patreon. And now you guys can pay me money if you feel that I deserve to be compensated for the things I do. If you always wanted to support me and you always wanted me to buy more games and cover more games and improve my tech and all that stuff, then consider donating to the Patreon. If you become a backer, you'll get a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes information about the videos I'm making. You'll know which videos I'm actually making, whereas I won't be talking about that on Twitter. You'll actually get to make decisions about what videos will be coming out next, and you'll even be able to send in questions to this very podcast, C Squared, that we will answer at the end of every single show. So, fan questions. I know that's something that a lot of people have been asking about. Now you can do it if you're a patron. How's that sound, huh?
I want to be a Clementine.
You can be a Clementine, a Clement fan, a Clement fanatic, whatever you choose to be. Or you don't have to be any of those things, you know. You don't have to donate to the Patreon. The channel will be operating exactly as it has been for the last 3-4 years, regardless if you pay me money. So don't worry, I'm not quitting YouTube if nobody donates to it. But, you know, it'd be nice. Please help me. I love to be financially stable.
Like, Clement does so much, like, important work for his own channel, and supporting him would definitely be, like, one major way of, you know, just showing your appreciation for the work and content that he does, because it is very amazing, and I'm glad that he's getting his flowers now.
Did you say my flowers or my followers?
Your flowers.
Flowers?
Yeah, you never heard that phrase? Give him his flowers?
I've never heard this phrase, no.
I've tweeted it at you before, so, it means to give you the recognition you deserve.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, shucks, Caro, shucks.
Aw.
So yeah, that's a thing if you want to donate. You don't have to. It's just an option that's out there now. But if you've been listening to this podcast and you're new because of my Tekken video, I hope this has been entertaining for you. I hope you enjoyed our commiserating here. And yeah, we'll be posting more C Squared episodes in the future. No specific date, but you know, that's how I roll. So until next time, folks, I am the Great Clement.
And I am Caro.
And we shall see you next time.